If you're feeling like there's a warning light, even if things are good, I want to encourage you to really listen to that because marriages and relationships do not die overnight. It's like this slow simmer in a pressure cooker that's coming to a head and it's ignoring the warning light over and over and over. And you can have a really great life and a really great family and a really great stable existence. But if you're not listening to those warning lights, you might find yourself in an explosion.
Welcome to the InPowered Life Podcast, a space dedicated to one belief that you have the power within to create everything you seek. So if you are ready to step into a new kind of higher learning, the kind that leads to true personal freedom, hang here with me. I'm your host, Rudi and Riekstins, and this is the InPowered Life. Thank you for joining me on the InPowered Life podcast today. This is an introduction to a conversation that is coming up where I wanted to just give you a little bit of context before we jump over to today's episode. This is a four-way conversation between Anniston and I and the powerhouse couple, Brooke Hemingway and her husband, Dr. Thomas Hemingway. We met them in the back of a conference room speaking at an event and immediately clicked. In fact, Brooke turned to me at one point in time and said, Rudi, looking at how you speak about your wife on stage and who you are and how you represent yourself, you should be hosting masterminds specifically aimed at relationships. And although I'm not a relationship coach, in every conversation that I've ever had with any of my clients, we talk about relationships because every single person on the planet is seeking love. Everybody wants to find a deep, meaningful, committed relationship. And statistically speaking, few people do. Few people find the caliber relationship that they yearn for. And we unearth in this episode today, very specifically through our individual experiences of how we have navigated life and the importance of intentionality and communication and seeking personal growth, not only as an individual, but as couples, so that you can grow together to create extraordinary love. I invite you to dive into this episode where we not only explore these topics, but we speak into what we are so excited to be launching. And that is a 4-month intensive mastermind program called the Relationship Upgrade. And we are 100% committed to supporting individuals who are not trying to fix, repair, replace their relationship, but instead deepen the quality of the relationship that they have, the quality of the relationship with self and then with each other, so that they can find not only the importance of the relationship dynamic that they have, but that they can wake up every single day and just think, gosh, how did it get this good? And knowing that this is only the beginning. I invite you to join the rest of this conversation. We'll see you there. So we're kicking off this incredible conversation today with the unbelievable Dr. Thomas Hemingway and Brooke Hemingway. Anniston and I are abundantly excited for this conversation because this conversation started many, many, many years ago in the back of a very large room, supporting people in remembering who they are. We have since obviously partnered on launching the Relationship Upgrade. And this is the four of us that have come together as two individual entities to remind and show other people what does it look like to have the most incredible relationships, to be purpose-driven and impact-driven, not only outside, but also internally within the relationship. I want to start off by just talking about why Annis and I so connect and commit to Thomas and Brooke and how they live their lives and who they are as people. And I want to really start by saying that, we know you two so intimately in a way that I would say not a lot of your audience members know you guys and what you've
Yeah.
gone through. Both of you have beautiful social media platforms. You share from your heart, but we know even deeper into some of the struggles. And on the surface, we look at you and you're successful multimillionaires, large platforms, look at your chiseled, beautiful doctor husband. And then, Brooke, you're on stage all day, every day, creating just unbelievable impact. But it has come at such heavy cost sometimes. And you have 6 beautiful, healthy children. And when I look at you and what you guys do and how you navigate life, I'm always talking about, power couples, not somebody who is necessarily successful externally, but they're successful internally and externally, internally within themselves, internally within the relationship, with their families. And I just want to take my hat off to you right now. We were talking about what would it look like to host a event with another couple, and that really is scary because you're bringing two other people into something that you may not necessarily resonate with or agree with everything that they do, and yet we so deeply resonate with who you are and how you show up. I know that through this episode our audiences are going to get to hear all about who you are and how you show up. But when we thought of partnering with you, when the opportunity came up, it was just a hell yes from us because you really do exemplify what it looked like to navigate life with all of its challenges, but not as a challenge, as another opportunity to be the incredible, beautiful, and abundant teachers that you are.
Wow. Well, thank you. I mean, we feel the same way. And this isn't our first rodeo doing something for couples. Back in 2022, we had the opportunity to host a couples retreat. And it came from this intention and desire to share a lot of the things that we had learned because this summer we'll be 28 years married and 6 kids who all still live at home, at the time of this recording between the ages of 8 and 19, navigating career changes, power changes, income, all these different things, these power struggles and whatnot. And so we had dipped our toes into it and always thought, you know what, there's another one, there's something else. But we love love, we love healthy relationships. And it is your relationship that impacts and informs everything else in your life. And so we kind of sat with it and sat with it. And yeah, in the back of that room, I don't know if it was 2 years ago, Rudy, I said to you, I was like, oh my gosh, you and Anniston should totally do a couples mastermind. It's something we've always thought about. And so over the course of the last several months, this has been baking and this has been, marinating. And we've come together also on the same stream, not because we would just do this with just anybody, because it's a container that's so special and is going to go so deep and is going to have to be so true and so honest that we can actually help couples have the transformation that they desire to have. And when we thought about that, we're like, well, that's Rudi and Anniston because they are so real. They're so authentic. They talk about the real things. They're not afraid to talk about anything. They haven't had everything perfectly dialed in. They didn't have the perfect relationships before they found each other. They didn't fully believe in themselves and think they were the most amazing thing. They had to do the work personally as individuals. And I've seen your story and witnessed that of you guys individually working on yourself and then working as a couple to intentionally create the beautiful relationship that you have. And it's one of the reasons why we were like, they're perfect to work with because for them, it's not about that they got lucky. It's not about, wow, the universe just collided and everything just happened. Every time I've heard you talk about your relationship or we've heard you on panels, it's about the intentionality. It's about the fact that you can create your reality. You don't have to accept average. And so when we look at you, we're like, they're an extraordinary couple. They have an extraordinary love and they have intentionally created that. It didn't just happen. And so we want to share with all of you listening in and those of you that choose into this incredible experience that your relationship can look completely different. And your relationship, it might be good, but it can be great. And you want to learn from people who have made it their life's work to not only individually grow, but to grow as a couple and to do it intentionally. So we love you guys. We admire you.
Our hats off to you guys because we've been thinking about this for years. And in the last 6 months that we've kind of been talking to you guys a little bit more, what this could look
Yeah.
like we got really excited because until now, we did this, like Brooke shared, back in an amazing event in Costa Rica. And for whatever reason, it was on pause for several years. And the thought of working with you two was just like, oh my gosh, this is
That's it.
where it's going to really just not only blow up, but we're going to impact so many people because we have so many amazing lessons we've learned and you guys have as well. And working together, like, talk about powerful. This got us really amped up, really
Yeah.
super excited. And I think everybody's going to see that over the course of these next couple of months if they choose in that no matter where they are now, like your relationship can be great, but there's like another level to freaking
Mhm.
awesome out there. And like Brooke and I are about to hit 28 years and nearly 30 together. And we're thinking these last 5 to 10, like every year it's just gotten
Yeah.
better and better and better. Like it's possible. And you guys really just envelop
Exemplify
that
it.
within yourselves. And you've shown that it really can be a pursuit that's not only possible, but awesome, like achievable. And if you can see it, if you can believe it, if you can within yourself, you can have that intention, like we're going to create this thing. It's not just going to show up on our doorstep. Like we get to do this, we get to create it. And you guys are the perfect couple to partner with. Like we're just pumped. We're
Yeah.
super excited.
Well, I'm
Yep.
excited too. It's interesting since, and I'm sure this happens with you guys as well, like from the very beginning when Rudy and I first started serving individuals and coaching, they would have lots of questions, but a lot of times the questions they really wanted to know was around our relationship. They almost looked at it like it was this unicorn. I mean, like, look at this rare and endangered couple, you know what I mean? And their relationship because it looked and felt so different than their own. It looked and felt so different than anything they had seen. So just like, you don't know what you don't know. And if you've never seen something demonstrated, it's very hard to believe it's possible for you. And I know for us, there was a point in our marriage where we really had to make a decision of, are we going to take this relationship off of cruise control, off of default mode, and move into a relationship by design, which I know you love that term. And we do too, because we had to make that decision. Like, are we willing to settle or do we really want extraordinary? And are we willing to do the work to reach for that? And that's going to
Yeah.
require both of us individually and collectively. And so I'd love to just pose a question to you two about, when was it in your relationship where you felt like you had to make that conscious decision? Because I want people to understand, number one, it's never too late to make that choice, but that it can happen and it can happen as long as both of you are willing.
Yeah. Do you want me to take this?
I think
You wanna
Brooke
go?
loves this question because even though we've been married like coming up on 30 years and even up into the 20-year mark, like on paper, anybody from the outside world would be like, oh my gosh, it's a
Mhm.
perfect relationship. They
Mhm.
got, 6 kids. We would have had 5 at 10 years ago. And there were some struggles. And there was one particular time that I'll have Brooke share about that was a little bit of it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Can I interject before you start? Because I know exactly what you're going to say, but I want the audience to listen to this through a slightly different lens because we're going to hear Brooke's version in a moment. But
Yes.
I got to witness Thomas's version through Brooke's words. So I was standing in the back of the room. Thomas was on the side of a room, and Brooke told a story on stage. And my first thought was, holy crap, if my wife said that on stage, I would be mortified. And then I scanned the room looking for Thomas, and there he was with nothing but love in his eyes. And he was just staring at her, so proud of her. And that just speaks into the volume of growth. And that was like a teaching moment for me. And so as you hear Brooke talk about this, I'd really want you to think about, are you willing and ready to go
Yeah.
deep? Because when you go deep, you get to come out the other side.
Well, I don't think most people are willing to talk about the nasty moments in their relationships, or I shouldn't say nasty, but the parts that aren't pretty because we really want people to believe in a specific image. And the thing is, nothing was actually wrong with our life, nothing was wrong with our relationship. But the thing that's different about our relationship is that we were married 20 years before this happened. Okay. So most people, maybe they figured this out earlier, or some of you listening, you've been married for 2 decades, maybe 3 decades, and you are in this place of just, this is as good as it gets. Like, I should just be happy. I should just be grateful. My partner's faithful. Thomas was faithful to me. I was faithful to him. We had this beautiful, gorgeous property on Kauai that Rudi and Anniston have been to. We built that house. I drew the plans. We had 5 healthy kids, 6 actually. Gracie was a baby. We had 6, healthy kids. Like, we had the dream. Like, we were living the dream. And the thing is, I think a lot of people are living the dream. They're living a very good life. Life is good. Nothing is really that bad, except that in the universe, the way that the natural laws work is that without energy going in, to something without there being energy infused, things will dissolve into a state of chaos. Like, left unattended, things will evolve into a state of chaos that will happen in your marriage as well. It's not just going to stay the same. And so something had to happen in order for us to shift into something new. So after 20 years, we had an experience, which I call the FU moment. And it was on Thomas's birthday in 2018. I will never forget, June 14th of 2018, where, to be honest, we were making more money than we had ever made. Like, he was bringing in the money, I was bringing in the money. Like, we were succeeding, we were doing amazing things on that, success ladder, but we were very disconnected. And he was hustling for his worth. I was hustling for my worth. We were both trying to produce because if you think about it, if you're a high achiever listening, you're a performer, you are a type A person, sometimes the very thing that we want the most, which is to feel seen, to feel loved, to feel connected, we don't feel like we can have. And so we pour our energy and our heart into something that we know we can succeed at. And I knew I could succeed at work. I knew if I set a goal, I could kill it. He knew if he showed up in the ER, he could kill it. And so we could really succeed in those areas, but we were very disconnected. And it was his birthday. And I was on my phone like this. I was nursing a baby and on my phone and standing up. And he's talking to me and he's like, "Hey, it's my birthday. I really want to go to the beach as a family. Like, just us, just go to the beach." And I did not even hear him. Like, I was not present in any way, shape, or form. And he said, "You know what? You can keep your fucking business and I'll take the kids and leave." And I don't drop the F bomb all the time, but, honestly, that's what he actually said, so I'm not ashamed to say it. That's what he said. He'd never said the F word to me ever in 20 years of marriage. And so you would think it would have stopped me, and I would have been, crying or emotional, but I actually felt nothing. And he didn't mean, "I'll take the kids and leave and go to the beach." He meant, "I'll take the kids and leave you, and you can have your business because that's the only thing that you care about." That's really what he was saying. And so he actually did, in fact, take the kids to the beach. And I have pictures from that day. And I stayed home with the baby. I nursed her, and I had a lot of time to think. And I realized, oh my gosh, something is wrong. And I really do love this man. And this is actually what I really want. And I need to do some work, and we need to do some work. So when he came home, I said, well, two things. Number one, if you leave me, I'll take everything and you'll have nothing because I'm a little spicy and sassy. But number two, you're right. Something needs to change. And I know I need help and I know we need to work on this. And so that started from 2018, our work on working on ourselves individually and then working together as a couple. Now, maybe you haven't had an FU moment, those of you listening, but you've had these little fractures or you've had these little experiences where you're like, something needs to change. It's like a warning light, right? And if you're feeling like there's a warning light, even if things are good, I want to encourage you to really listen to that because marriages and relationships do not die overnight. Nobody has an affair all of a sudden. Nobody decides to get a divorce all of a sudden. It's like this slow simmer in a pressure cooker that's coming to a head and it's ignoring the warning light over and over and over. And you can have a really great life and a really great family and a really great stable existence. But if you're not listening to those warning lights, you might find yourself in an explosion. And so we had a little bit of an explosion, but that's the story. That was really the turning point for us. And I don't know if you want to say anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. It doesn't happen overnight. Like kind of Aniston said it, you're like on cruise control. Like things are pretty good, you know. We were making great money. We just
Yeah.
built a beautiful home. We had beautiful family. By
Yeah.
all measures of any ordinary person, they'd be like, you have a freaking awesome life.
You had a six
Um,
pack, you know? I didn't have a six pack, but I
Life
was
is
like
good.
so it's fit and healthy. Yeah.
so it's kind of like a slow drift, I would say, like
Yeah.
a slow drift. And if you don't recognize that, one day you'll wake up and you might be apart. And deep down, I really feel like neither one of us would have ever wanted that. That's not what we would have ever dreamt of, although we did come from both families that our parents were divorced. So we didn't have an amazing example. But we always talked about, we're going to be different. We're going to be that unicorn. We're going to be together forever because we freaking love each other and we love our life. We love our kids more than everything else in the world. We love God. Like we have a marriage that could be unstoppable forever, but we had also focused on some
Drifted.
things and less focus on each other. And we kind of drifted slowly. It was a slow process that we almost didn't know was happening until the moment, right? And we're like,
Until the
okay,
moment.
we gotta make a pivot here, or this could go very differently. And fortunately, we were both willing. It's really at the end of the day, just the willingness that you have to be open to working on yourself, working on your relationship, because it's really three entities. It's myself, it's Brooke herself, and it's the entity of our union, our marriage. So it's three different entities that as they come together, if there's willingness, like anything is possible. And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it. And each and every year we're like, holy crap, how could it get better and better? Like we're coming up on 30 years
Yeah.
soon and it's like better all the freaking time. And it's awesome.
But
But it wasn't always that way. And it's
yeah.
okay. And we're
Yeah.
not ashamed of it.
No. Here's the thing, and I have a question for you guys on this is I think we actually would have always stayed married, but it would have not been what it is now. And I do think that that's what a lot of people settle for. And so, you guys have an extraordinary love, and I'm sure you had your moment where you had to consciously make that choice. You also would have been deeply committed to each other, would have stayed married because that's what a lot of people do. And it wouldn't be what we see now. And so, what was that conscious decision? Because I remember reading a post, Aniston, where you talked about how you hoped someone would come and rescue you. And you had to make a shift in realizing, wait a second, like this is what a real, true, passionate love story requires. And so, what was that moment for you that shifted you from, well, this could be a good love or this could be an extraordinary love?
Yeah. So when Rudy and I met, it really did feel like that fairy tale kind of love story that every girl dreams of, right? Well, I didn't dream of walking into a bar and seeing you turn around and be like, there's my prince. But lo and behold,
The bar was in Disney World.
lo and behold, there he was. And it really felt like this remembrance, this like soul remembrance. It was so much deeper than what people say, like love at first sight. And so when you start a relationship that way, and then the minute we started talking to each other and realizing we had all these things in common, we were very spiritual. I had never met a man who could vocalize things that Rudy vocalizes. Like, I mean, actually, I thought he was gay at first, to be honest, because I was like, "There's no way he's straight." I was like, "There's no way he's straight. He's way too articulate. He dresses too nice, and he says things that American men, right, would never say." And so turns out he wasn't, so good news. Good news for me, he was not very much heterosexual, but anyways, this was a very different kind of man, so I had never been in a relationship with someone like him who was so communicative, right? And also so able to vocalize, like, "This is who I am, and this is what I'm gonna do with my life," and he didn't have small dreams, he had very, very big dreams. And I remember being so, like, I felt so safe with him. I felt like, "Oh my gosh, like, he's got a dream big enough for the both of us," Which I'm sure some women listening to this, you might be able to relate to that, where you're like, "Okay, I'm just gonna hitch my car to his, and we're gonna ride off into the sunset, and wherever he goes, I go with him, and that will be fine, and that will be enough." And so I moved to where he was living. I blended into his life. I started working in the company that he had founded, and I lost myself day by day by day, bit by bit by bit, and without even realizing it was happening. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling this, and I would say this was, a couple years in, I started to feel lost. I felt like I didn't know really who I was or what I wanted anymore. I didn't know really what my path forward was. And mirrored when I would look at him and him being so sure, it made me feel that much more lost. So, you do what you do, which is you start by projecting it onto your partner because it must be his fault that I've lost my way. I've lost who I am. I used to be this very independent, adventurous. I traveled the world. I didn't need anyone. I was that girl until I met him. And then I was like, put a ring on it. Let's go. And so I had to initially, like, projecting it onto him, what that looked like was resentment, but quiet, because I would never say that out loud, right? It was that quiet kind of resentment. It was feeling antsy, feeling like I just wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And yet I didn't know how to quelch that. I didn't know how to change that. And so thankfully, it wasn't until Rudy really started calling me forward and saying, "You have to start communicating with me. Like, what is going on with you? You have to start, like, it's not possible that every day is fine." and that's it. Like, you've got to tell me that there's some things going on for you because he could sense it. And so it really wasn't until I started vocalizing and hearing me say it out loud, but in a safe space. Like, he wasn't blaming me. He wasn't angry that I was projecting this onto him. Truly, he just wanted me to be happy. He didn't need me to fit into his life. He wanted me to create my own life. But what happens in couples so often, I feel like, is that there might be one who is a little bit more sure about their path. So the other blends in and then feels like, I don't know what's happened to me in my life. And I don't even remember choosing this. And really, sometimes it can just be a really powerful conversation, like created in a safe space together, that can be the turning point where you start to reclaim that identity. But it has to be something that I think you approach as a couple. I'm sure you have thoughts on this.
I remember standing in the laundry room of our home, and I had said to Aniston, no one is this happy. You're just too happy. You're too agreeable. Every day it's just, you know, rainbows and ponies. This is bullshit. I want to know what's going on in your head. And she was like, oh my God, no, but everything's fine. And she genuinely externally looked like everything was fine. But here we were, a newlywed couple, and we didn't know each other long before we got married. And so there wasn't a lot of context. I only knew happy her. And I'm like, I have good days and I have bad days. She never has bad days. And so I would say to her, like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And she was like, honestly, I'm fine. Everything's great. I love our life. I love you. And came in for the hug and wanted to just resolve any potential conflict. And I'll never forget coming home one day from work. And I walked through that same laundry room and I put my bag and my jacket down. I hung it up. And as I walked into the kitchen, she lost it. You never ever do the dishes. I always do the laundry. And she just gave it to me. There were tears, there was snot, there was a high level of communication. And when I say high, I mean volume. And so she was just giving it to me. And when she finished, she paused. And then the look on her face was like, oh my God, what have I just done? Like, I want to take it all back. And I had the biggest smile on my face. And I said to her, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I'm like, more. Like, what else? And I set this up because, Thomas, when I heard Brooke tell that story on stage and you standing in the side of the room, I can still see you, literally see you leaning against, looking at her with nothing but love. And there wasn't any of this like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. I don't want the judgment. I can't believe, I mean, I still to this day don't believe you ever dropped an F bomb, but let's pretend you did for a moment. And here's what I want to do. I want to bring it back for the benefit of our audiences listening to this episode today. There are people right now that are playing you or Aniston in this, where something's going on internally, and you had the courage to say, hey, here's what's going on. And maybe you didn't have someone in that moment poking and prodding you, and I'm speaking to the audience now, saying, hey, what's going on in your head? Because most people just want the happy. They want I don't want the layers behind the layers, but the real lives behind the layers. And so I would love to know kind of two things, and I think both of them are going to be a beautiful teaching moment for the audience. We're putting together, obviously, the relationship upgrade. We're teaching people what does it look like to have and to be. And so right now, I would love to know from you, what is it like hearing your wife share those words about what your relationship was then? And then what would be your advice to somebody who's actually in it right now and they may not have someone saying, hey, I want to pull that information out of you. And so what would you say to them?
I would just say, just be open to being present. Sometimes there's nothing that we need to say or necessarily do other than to just be present and to really feel and listen and understand and connect, because we had always loved each other and we still did in these moments, but we had kind of slowly drifted. And when this came to the proverbial head, I think the beauty was that we allowed ourselves to be open to really allow not only it to happen in the way that it did, but to have no judgment about it. I didn't get angry with her. And when she thought about it and realized, oh crap, this was, sometimes we refer to, let's call it an outburst or whatever. It's one of two things, right? It's either a cry for help or it's a loving response. And often, especially as you just shared, Rudi, with the elevated volume, it's very much often just a simple cry for help. And I would say if you're open to really just connect and to really be together, and there's really nothing you can't do when you have that level of just openness. And we knew deep down we really did share the same commitment and the same desires, but over months and years, we kind of lost that daily connection because she was in her business mode, I was in mine, and the kids occupied every other moment that was left in the day. And we didn't leave a lot of moments for ourselves. But deep down, we knew that we were committed, but we needed something to kind of wake us up. And I would say that this can happen to anybody at any time. It can happen multiple times, and it's all okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You shouldn't judge yourself and say, "Oh, what's wrong with me? I shouldn't be feeling this way. I have such a beautiful life." Express it. And if you can be open with one another, like, you can figure it out.
Yeah. I would say the other thing, though, that he did, and he has done repeatedly, so for those of you listening, whether it's the wife that's having the outburst or it's the husband saying, F you, basically, right? In either direction, if you are really careful to not make it about you
Yeah.
and you really understand that what's coming out of them, which feels like verbal vomit, is actually not about you. It's about the own struggle. So he was having his own struggle. And sometimes when this has happened with me, he's been able to step back and just be present and make it not about him, or for me to not make it about me. Like what he was saying wasn't really about me, it was about his experience and what he was experiencing. So, for those of you listening, sometimes it can be hard to hear your spouse communicating these things. I mean, Rudy was happy about it. He was like, this is amazing. I don't know that the first time we felt that way, but you have to imagine 2 decades, everything's copacetic. Brooke cleans the house, she takes care of the kids, she brings Thomas lunch. Every day I drive to the hospital, I take all the kids, I take him lunch. Everything is beautiful. We have this little agreement that I didn't know was an agreement, but it was an agreement. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm not doing this agreement anymore. And it was like "Bleh," from him. But it was stepping back and realizing, like, oh my gosh, this isn't about me. This is about their own pain. And I think also you talk about this sometimes as like the fixing it thing, right? Feeling like,
Yeah. And we'll get into this much more over the course
yeah,
of the next few months. But most guys in particular, like, we just want to fix crap. Like, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, let me help you. This is how we can ABC. We can easy, done. Okay, what's next on the list? I'm going to fix the next thing. And most women aren't looking for a fix in that moment. They're looking for the presence, the connection. They want to share the things that are on their mind. They don't want to fix, actually. And so I'm sure guys have maybe heard that, maybe you've experienced it. I have a funny shirt that my brother-in-law gave me a decade ago, and it says, "Don't worry, I can fix it." Because that's my natural tendency. Like as a kid, I watched MacGyver. I could do anything. That's why I became an ER doctor, because I like to fix crap. I like to fix humans. Back in those days, before YouTube, I'd learned how to fix about anything else under the sun. And Brooke can attest to it. She's like, just pay somebody to do that. No, screw that. I could fix it. And I would see that in stuff that we would be struggling with. Hey, honey, we can fix this. Here's how we can do it. I'll bust this out, A, B, C, D. Next week, we won't have this problem. And she's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I don't want to be fixed.
There's no, there's no desire for a fix right now,
Yeah.
especially in the moment. Like, just take a breath, look at her in the eyes, and think in your mind, I love you. I'm committed to you. I would lay down my life with you. I want to be with you forever, and just connect and let her say whatever it is. Doesn't matter if there's a 4-letter word in there. None of that even matters. Just connect with her and let your partner, could be him doing this, and just connect and be okay with it. It's not about you. That's a lesson we didn't really learn until this happened 8 years
Till
ago.
20 years into our marriage.
And
So
we've
there's
learned
hope.
it over and over again since. I'm still not perfect at it. I'm definitely better at it for sure.
Well, I want to take it in this direction though, right? Because we've had a couple moments like that, not a ton, especially as we've grown. But I know you guys talk a lot about how you don't really fight. And I think a lot of people listen to that and they hear that and they're like, how is that even possible? Like, how do you avoid having things come to a head and still have the connection that you have? And so, for everyone listening, for their benefit, like, hey, it doesn't always have to come to an FU moment. We're happy to say it doesn't really, that's not
That's
really how we
definitely the
roll.
outlier for sure, but it's okay.
But how do you? Because you guys have really worked at this and been intentional about this. And I think you could teach the people listening what that looks like.
I think it's important that people know our relationship is real and we can love each other, but not like each other in the moment. But it doesn't take away from the love. And when I say we've never had a fight, we have absolutely never, ever, not one time. And I know I was dramatic in Anderson talking about the dishes and washing, and she wasn't in any way, shape, or form screaming at me. She was crying, and she literally, all of her built up emotion from our entire relationship and every other relationship she'd ever had kind of just came to a head in one moment. And it wasn't pretty, but she wasn't actually shouting at me. She was releasing emotion. We have never, not one time, ever said, screw you, screw this, screw that. I'm on the couch, you're on the couch. And we've never had one of those moments. And I think the reason we've never had those moments really boils down to how I approached our relationship when we first met. Now, I need to give some additional context so that it makes sense. I was in a relationship with somebody and we broke up. And then about 6 months later, we were in the beginning stages of getting back together again. But we were both hurt. And so we were carefully coming back in. And then she did something that right at that moment where we were reestablishing trust really hurt me. The last things I ever said to her was, I never want to see you again. And then she died in a car accident. And I could never take that back. And
Wow.
so I carried that for years that when you leave someone, you never know. And when you say something, like you can never take that back. And so I'll never forget the first time Anniston and I had a really difficult conversation where we had two different ways of looking at something. And we went to bed and she just rolled over. And we go to bed every night. And I mean, I'm going to give you too much information here. We climb into bed and we slide our hands into the middle of the bed and we go to bed holding hands. And we'll do that every single night unless we don't like each other in the moment. And so, and that night, she rolled over onto her side, very clear indication of, I don't like you right now. I'm going to bed. So we haven't said anything mean, but we're just not on the same page. And I tapped on the shoulder and I said, no, we're not going to bed until we resolve this. And then she said very politely, you know, like, let's talk about this tomorrow. I really don't want to have this conversation now. And I said, we're going to talk about this until we finished because we're not going to bed until this is resolved. We don't have to agree with each other. We just have to agree we're coming from two different places and find the commonality in it. And we did. We spoke it out, but we've brought that into every area of our life. You know, there'll be times when I'm frustrated and I'll just say, I need to go for a walk or I need a minute. Because if I say something, I'm going to say something I can't take back. Or she'll do the same thing. And so we give each other that space. And it's never about saying, this is who you have to be or how I need you to be, but it's that we catch ourselves in that moment. And that is just a trained habit. That's a conditioning that you need to bring in because that's not normal. It's not what was taught in my home. It's not what I see taught in television. It's most certainly not who we were. We consciously chose, hey, do we want to be the couple that are guns or are we going to pause and say, hey, you know, you're my person. Let's talk this through.
I also think that, well, and I agree with 100% what you said, we had to learn a new language of how to communicate with each other. And I know that's something that we spoke about in the series and something we're going to go really, really deep over these next 4 months because it is a bit of a new language. But when you learn it and you both speak it, you can navigate around most of those what would turn into a fight. And it's just a rewording of how you approach, of how you take accountability, of how you learn to read your own energy and timing. It changed how we parent. It's made us better coaches. It's made us better in business. It's made us better in every single area. But what I want to also mention is this, and then I want to kind of turn it on you guys because there are things I believe, like when I see your relationship, that I see that are so exceptional that we also do that are very rare, right? And one of those things for us is that we do spend, yes, we have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. They are in all the activities that, we're in it. You guys are in, you have a lot more children than we do, but I mean, we're in it. And yeah, times three. But every single day, even if we're not together and we're traveling, like we have created this space of just being with each other and talking. And so when you create that space and you do that every day, and I know you guys go on walks together. We go on walks together. We'll sit out on our porch. We'll sit in our hot tub. Our kids will sometimes join us or not, but they know that this is our time. And this is when we just brain dump our day. And so this is when we will bring forward, hey, can I give you some feedback? Or like, can I share something with you? You said something earlier, the tone you said it in, I perceived this way. And so we've kind of, without realizing what we were doing, because we just enjoy each other's company and we're best friends. So we
Yep.
like to spend time together. But having created that space for us has actually most of the things that would potentially turn into that little bit of poison that starts to build and build and build and build, those things that you don't say and unexpressed, because we've created that space to express together, it always comes out before it can turn into a mountain that we don't know how to climb. And so I want to know from you two, what would you say is a practice that you have or something that is a bit rare or extraordinary that has allowed you to turn what would be struggles that could potentially break someone or a marriage into something that strengthens your relationship?
Mm, that's a good question. Why don't you take that?
I
I know what I would say. I wanna hear what he has to say. This is the fun part of, like, a couple's interview. It's like,
Right?
"Oh, I don't know exactly what they're
None of
gonna
this
ask."
was, you might think we had a whole list.
Nope.
We actually didn't have anything. In fact, I
No.
asked Brooke before we started, I said, "Should we come up with a list
I
of"
was like,
she says, "No,
"No,
no, that's
this
not
is gonna be
necessary."
great."
So this is raw, this is real, this is how it goes, and life is raw, and
Yeah.
you'd be surprised what can happen. I mean, I come from a place, right? I spent over 2 decades as an ER doctor, and believe me, some strange, crazy stuff happens out there in the world. Like, I'm grateful for the life that we have because there's some crazy crap going down every single day. And what's interesting is if you take, and Aniston kind of gave the perfect segue to this, is if you take consistently some moments where you allow yourself to connect. And for us, at least in the last decade, it's been we love to go on a walk
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
And Brooke would share that we'll even do that if it's 10 degrees outside and we can't feel our nose, and we'll
Yes.
still go for a walk together. And
Yes.
He's hardcore
sometimes
like
I'll be
that.
like, "Are you sure you want to go for a walk?
Yes.
It's freaking freezing out there."
What's my
And
favorite time? Because it's undistracted. I think that the key is for couples, it has to be
yeah.
undistracted.
So we're not sitting on the couch with our phones in hand. She's doing one thing. That's not
No.
connection. Doesn't matter if you're sitting next to each other. Like these things got to go by the wayside. We don't open our phones up, nothing. And we just allow ourselves to share and say and communicate. And we never quite know what's going to happen in those conversations. Sometimes it's light
It's
and
always
fun,
good,
and
though.
other times it can be pretty deep. And maybe that'll turn into a 1+ hour walk. You never know, but it's always exciting. And this is one of the things that I think for us has been powerful over the years. Like we've always known that it's important to have time that's undistracted. Like even the days before cell phones, like, yeah, our relationship, believe it or not, there was no cell phone when we
Yeah.
got married. There was no such thing. So we had maybe less distractions in some ways, but we also met at a time where, I just jumped into medical school, which was crazy, insanely arduous and time consuming. And she was in college as well and doing all these different activities and with school and her voice training and working full time at a bank. And so we were missing each other a lot. But what we always did, even in those days where we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have other things, we made it a point to connect and connect regularly. And that just was kind of a cornerstone of our relationship. For us in those times, like literally most of the time we would spend, like we would go every couple of months and go for a 1 or 2 night little camp out. Or if we really wanted to splurge, we found a place where we could do an Airbnb for like $29 a night. Like, I know that just sounds like that's not possible, but the money wasn't the thing. It was the desire to stay connected that got us through even times way back in the day when we had a lot of challenges, but we didn't have kids. Like we didn't have all that added complexity, which has been a heck of a lot of fun, but there's been a lot of challenges that come with having
Yeah.
6 kids. And at the end of the day, what grounds us is just a consistent effort to be
Yes.
present with one another. For us, mostly that looks like going on a walk because we are side by side. We're not staring at each other in the face going, "Arr,
No.
what's building up here?" Like
Yeah.
it's more, I would say, at
Yeah.
ease, and it works well for us. It could be different for you, but I think just taking consistent moments where It's a safe space to
It
share
happens
what's on your mind.
regularly.
And it's a regular thing, not once a month, mostly every day or at least a couple of times a week. It's so helpful.
I'll say this, there's actually research too, is like men don't really like to sit for the ladies listening and just look at you and talk about things because when they've researched how little boys from the time they're little communicate and girls how they communicate, boys, if you leave them alone in a room, will literally sit next to each other, but they won't look at each other in the face. And women will turn towards each other and get in each other's faces. And so for us, it's been like, okay, we go on a walk, but also the cadence of your walk I've read is like the heartbeat of your mother in the womb. And so it's very
Mm.
calming to your nervous system. So if there are big things you need to talk about, take it on a walk, take it in motion. It's energy in motion. But I'm just going to add to this is like we have always fiercely, every single year, whether we had a newborn or whether we had a child that was severely sick, taken at least 3 trips with just each other. And so I think it's like you can either say, I can't afford to do that, but divorce is a lot more expensive, or a
Mhm.
horrible marriage is a lot more expensive. And so whether it's been convenient or whether it's made financial sense, we have had the good sense to understand our relationship is our greatest asset. And if our relationship is our greatest asset, it should be our greatest investment. And if we're giving it the breadcrumbs and we're not willing to go away for 3 nights, or we go away for like 8 nights at a time, and we have freaking 6 kids, 2 with type 1 diabetes, one that was severely sick and close to death, and young kids. And it's like we invest in each other like it is oxygen. It's an absolute necessity. And we plan our year around when we're going to go away and when we're going to spend time with each other because before there was a business or before there were other humans, it was us. And after the kids grow, it will be us. And
Mhm.
if we have not invested in that relationship with daily walks, connection, but also taking the trips, whether it's the $29 a night seedy bed and breakfast when you're college students and that's all you can afford, or it's the Four Seasons, it doesn't matter. But you will either pay now or you will pay later. And I
Mhm.
think you guys have a similar philosophy, but I feel really passionate about that. I know you guys might have some other practices and other things that you do to keep connected in your marriage. I would love to hear about some of the things that you guys actually do on a regular basis.
Well, we also have always prioritized that time away. I think we always knew. And I remember distinctly, even once his parents immigrated over from South Africa, our daughter was 6 months old, and we were like, to Kauai we go. So that was actually our first time to Kauai. And it was like a 10-day vacation. And I remember feeling a little judged. I'm not going to lie by like people being like, you have a 6 month old infant, you've got a 1.5 year old son. What are you guys doing? And to us, though, we knew that we had to continue to show up. Like your relationship is its own entity. And I think people forget about that. It's like another child, it's a being that is separate and apart from you. It's not 1 + 1 = 2, it's 1 + 1 = 3. Okay. And so, similar to what you said about energy, if you're not pouring in, if you're not making deposits, if you're not investing, but from a quality time perspective, not all time is equal. And I want to mirror something that you said, Thomas, because I can't tell you how many times we'll have been together almost every minute of the day, running around, doing the things in the house, working on projects with the kids in the car, having family come and stay. And Rudy will turn to me at the end of the weekend and say, I miss you. Or I'll turn to him and say, I feel like I haven't seen you, even though we have literally been together the entire time. And that is because we haven't had undistracted time. We haven't had presence. That presence deposit, it trumps every other busied minute that you might throw to your partner where you're like, "Oh, well come with me to the soccer practice and while we talk to other parents, we'll be together and that's our time." That's not your time. And for as women, I seek connection and our love languages are all different, but I do think at our core all of us need that quality time, not only physical intimacy, but emotional intimacy. And so for us, taking trips together has been really important. I also think for us, it is working towards goals together.
Mm.
And I know you 2 do this a lot too. And so that can be everything from like, we love to work out together when we can. Doesn't always happen that way, but actually doing things together. And oftentimes it might not be something I love to do, but he loves to do it. So I go with him. I'll give the perfect example. On Saturday, I had been invited to go to this horse sanctuary to meet with this woman who does all of this beautiful work with these horses and the horse human connection. I knew there was going to be kind of spiritual in nature, maybe a meditation. I didn't know much about it. All I knew was it was 3 hours. It was going to be a 3 hour chunk of time on a Saturday. So I go to Rudy and I'm like, hey, I really want to go to do this. Do you want to stay home? Do you want to come with me? And he's like, tell me about it. I was like, I really can't tell you much about it. I don't know anything about it. And he elected to come because he wanted to have the experience with me. And
Mhm.
I think there's a magic in that because when you start having all of these growth experiences apart from each other, and there is a time and place, and I will say that, but we have found that growing together has allowed us to grow together. So we attend events, we attend meditation retreats together, we go to Align together. We like every single year, in addition to our vacations, we do some form of personal development together. We put ourselves into a situation that is completely new and out of our comfort zone together. We do something that scares us together. So I know
Yes.
that that can sound maybe a little confronting for some people, but that has been, I think, a part of that secret sauce.
Anniston says that we always knew that we should invest in going on trips together. You two have spoken about taking your trips together. That was something that I had to learn. When I met Anniston and we were planning our honeymoon, she said, oh, we're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to go for 2 weeks. We're going to go to the Big Island. Da, 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 da. And I was like, 2 weeks vacation? Doing what? And she had to talk me into it. We negotiated down to 7 days because I just couldn't in my mind imagine going on vacation and just doing nothing, lying at a pool. I know that when we spoke about the relationship upgrade, you were so adamant that there would be in person vacation with learning immersion. We have, without planning it, beautifully spoken into the importance of creating sacred space for you as a couple to grow together. I think that anybody that's listening to us that is aspiring to have a deeper level relationship could just take this episode, net it out, and they would create great impact. And we have 4 months worth of incredible information that's going to be layered and then baked into this, which Brooke was adamant about. High end, luxury, everything's taken care of,
And Thomas, we're like
pampering.
bougie it up.
And here's what I want to really impact for the benefit of the audience. I know human behavior and that we only ever do something when we fully understand what is in it for us. And so I want to ask a question and I want all four of us to answer. And I'm going to go first. The question is going to be, what is the benefit or the gain in going through the relationship upgrade? I want this question and the answer to be filtered through what really holds most couples back, and then what is the benefit at the end of this. I'm going to start by sharing this. And I set the foundation because people listening all know, oh, I want that relationship. They can see the unicorn relationship and say, oh, I would like to have that. But there's something that stops them from taking that committed action, from doing that. And what I think is so beautiful about this partnership of us coming together as facilitators and then the partnership of these couples that are joining us on this incredible journey is that everybody wants love. Everyone wants love. That's why we have so many beautiful love stories, so many novels, movies about people finding. I mean, good God, I fell in love with my soulmate in Disney World. She was looking for a prince. Disney World is where princes hang out. Let me just tell you, it was so beautifully and divinely curated. And here's what I want everybody to listen to. We want the love. We watch the love stories. We are committed to it, whether we are a man and we don't make eye contact and we pretend like we don't, we do. Everyone wants it. But what stops most people is that we don't think that we're worthy of it. We don't think we're worthy of that relationship. When someone does something and we don't like it, we don't have the courage to voice it, or we're scared to voice it because we're scared that we're going to lose what's not working and we'll have nothing, rather than risking a moment of confrontation for the benefit of amplifying the relationship. When we started the episode and I said what we love so much as a couple in why we want to partner with you two as a couple on this, I shared we know intimately into your lives. You've had children that have gone through very difficult illnesses. You've had relationship issues that have set you back. You've built businesses. You've lost money. You've built money, you know, going through and becoming a doctor. We're talking about putting yourselves in some of the most difficult, stringent situations. And yet your relationship continues to thrive. And so you show what does it look like 30 years in to make it better and better and better in every way. When I got married, my dad pulled me aside at my wedding and he put his arm around me and he said to me, "This is the best it's ever going to get." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" And he's like, "Yeah, because from here it just goes downhill." And then on our 1 year anniversary, he was actually in our home and he said to me, "Well, I see it's still good, but this is where it goes downhill." And then I think on the third or the fourth anniversary, he was with us again and he said it again. And I remember turning to him on my sixth anniversary and I said to him, "Hey," and this wasn't on the day, but it was around that period. And I said to him, "Hey, Dad, it's been 6 years. What does it look like?" And he said to me, "I mean, I'm really impressed, but they do say 7 years, is the," and I said to him, "I want you to keep watching because, Dad, it keeps getting better. It keeps getting better and it can get better for you." And my dad came to me years later, I think it was about 12 years later, and he said to me, "Wow, you've really taught me something by being able to watch how you and Aniston navigate life. It can get better." And I think that's the example of the relationship upgrade is that this is not just to set the example, but to actually give tangible tactical tools. And we need to know what's in it for us. And so if you're listening to this and you're in a relationship and the relationship is working, it's okay. You've got the status quo, but you want deeper, you want better, you want the hell yes at the end. There's always more. You have to be worthy of it. And I fully believe that we are all worthy of that love is who we are.
I'll go, I guess, before turning over to you two. So, in terms of the relationship upgrade, my vision and what I'm so excited about is teaching couples how to create full 100% safety in their relationship. There is nothing better, nothing, in my opinion, better than being in a relationship where you feel safe to be your 100% authentic self, where you feel safe to fail, and to know that the finger's not gonna be pointed at you, it's not gonna be held over your head, but that you get to fail together and you get to win together. And also safe to change and to evolve and to dream big, and safe to have hard days or hard seasons, and know that that person is still gonna be there and is gonna be holding that space for you. And that is 100% possible, but it requires conscious intention. There is a way. There actually is a strategy for creating safety in your relationship, and I'm so excited to teach that over the next 4 months. What about you 2?
Oh, I mean, I love what Rudy shared. At the end of the day, I mean, it's so true. Every dude out there just wants to have love and to be connected. And it's been a really interesting journey, I would say, the last decade that not only have we really poured into our relationship, but poured into our own personal growth and becoming better humans and having our own internal struggles with, are we worthy? Yes, everybody out there, we are worthy of an amazing, amazing life. And it doesn't matter where you're starting right now, where you are today. Like, there's no ceiling. Like, you can, in math, we call it asymptotically, which is like where the curve is kind of going up and then all of a sudden it just breaks free and it's like the freaking rocket ship. That can happen for you and it is possible. And that's all we really want. We want you to feel that love and that connection that your soul desires because you are worthy of it. And the big guy upstairs, those that are watching, the universe, they want us to succeed too. Like, this is about our life purpose. I truly believe in my deepest soul that we are here to be loved, to have joy, to smile and connect. I get up every morning and I'm like, let's just do this. Like, life, it throws curveballs. And if you're with somebody that you share a vision together, that you can have a safe space to have a bad day and that you know that you are committed and connected, anything is possible. And this, you can do this. It doesn't matter where you are today. And we are so excited to have this opportunity to work with many of you because we elevate each other together. Truly, it's something unique and special about, Rudy said, the gang. Like, here, the gang is all of us together elevating each other. And oh my gosh, that cheesy song that Brooke likes to play, that if you've ever been to Align, she's played it a couple of years in a row, maybe not this past year, but the future looks good. And I would say that for you and all of us, the future looks good. And the cool thing is it starts with your relationship,
Yeah.
because the world can be going to crap. And oftentimes, if you watch the news, I choose to pretty much not watch the news, but I hear things and I'm like, well, right here in our nucleus, which
Yeah.
is me, my wife, and my family, like, life is amazing.
Yeah.
No matter what's happening out there, make your life at home amazing. And you're going to be
Yes.
so excited to get
Yes.
your butt out of bed each and every day.
Yeah.
And the future looks good. We hope you'll join us.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about what holds most people back. And I'm thinking about, over the past year, we dove in even deeper. We did a ton of growth together. We invested $250,000 in our growth as a couple, which was not anything we had ever thought about doing. Like it was
It scared me. I'll be honest. It scared.
Yes, but I'm a little bit the risk taker. I'm a little bit like, "Hey, we're gonna go to Hawaii for 14 days for our, honeymoon," right? And so that's kind of like that feminine energy of like, "We should go for it," and the man trying to be protective. But we decided to do it, and here's the thing that I want you to hear. In this room of people that were either trying to find themselves and they were trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their life, or maybe they were actually making millions of dollars, or some of them even making billions of dollars. Whenever there would be somebody stand up and ask for help, even if it was on something on business, or it was a strategy thing, or it was something else in their life, literally almost every single time it came back to the fact that what they really wanted is they wanted love and connection. And you see, oftentimes we do things backwards. We think, well, I'm going to go be successful. I'm going to go slay the lion. I'm going to go make more money. I'm going to prove that I'm, like Rudy said, worthy. And I'm going to go perform. And when I do good enough, I'm going to be loved. When in reality, what we all want is we all want to have an epic love story. We want to be loved. We want to be seen. And when we are loved and seen, it unlocks everything else inside of us. And so you might be investing a lot of money in your business strategy. You might be investing a lot of money in your business growth and getting all the systems together. But if the relationship is not invested in, it doesn't matter how much strategy or how many systems you have or, what you've got set up in your business, it will crumble under the pressure because you won't have that foundation of love and connection on the deepest level that literally, as cheesy as it sounds, makes you feel like you have wings, right? It makes you feel like you can do anything. And love is the amplifier. Love is the thing that allows you to be even more successful, to have the energy to tackle the challenges, to look at losing $200,000 like we did this year because a bad decision with a builder, right? And to be like, oh, that's interesting. And next, and just move on because the love is so strong. And so I think a lot of times we're looking to do things in reverse, and we're inviting you to start with the foundation of the relationship. And I think that the reason why most people don't opt in is because maybe they're similar to me. And they think, well, everything good in my life comes to an end. And they look around at everybody else, and everybody else kind of has an average marriage or is getting divorced. Or in our case, our parents both got divorced. And they think, well, listen, like, I better just hang on and white knuckle grip and enjoy it while it's here because I'm not really sure it's going to be here. I'm not really sure that I deserve that kind of love. And so they're not yet believing that that can be for them. And I think that we stand as a witness, Thomas and I, and you, Rudi and Anniston, stand as witness that whether you have a really long marriage where you didn't figure it out till a couple decades in, or you figured it out a little bit earlier on, that no matter where you are, if you have the willingness and you have the desire, willingness and desire. That's all that's required. And then you need to learn from people that can teach you the things. You need to start investing into the right rooms, into the right spaces with people that have something you admire, that you recognize there's something different. There's a different energy, there's a different connection. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think in time, a lot of times in life, we look at the mentors for business and we look at the mentors for success and we look at the mentors for the funnel or whatever that is. But really, actually, what we want is a life that we love. And we want to have those juicy, passionate, incredible relationships. And you need mentorship for that as well. You don't just need mentorship for your business, You need mentorship for relationship with self and relationship with each other. And that's what we're doing is we're opening like this podcast is just the tiniest little sneak peek. And I was like sitting here in my chair, like wanting to like, talk about so many other things. And I know Rudi and Anniston were, and we're just so excited because I feel like the world desperately needs more couples that are power couples, that are passionate, that are deeply connected, because think about all the energy you're going to waste on the falling apart of your relationship if you don't invest in it. And conversely, if you invest in it, how powerful it can become, not only for your ecosystem, but for the entire world and the impact that you can have. And I think that when we invest in our relationship, our impact just expands and expands and expands. And I think we all want to contribute. We all want to impact. We all want to grow. And without that strong foundation, it thwarts our ability to do the work that we came here to this earth to do. So, relationship, 100%, hands down, most important investment. I could talk all day about how passionate I am about that. But that's what I would say, Rudi, to your question.
Well, I agree with you. We could go on for hours and hours and hours, and I know that we will. And in the container, I just want to really bring it back to those of you that are listening right now. I want to prompt you and encourage you to take a beat after turning this off and to really sit and think about and assess, where is your relationship right now? And if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, is it honestly where you believe it should be? Is it where you want it to be and where you desire it to be? And is growing and expanding and healing and transforming your relationship part of your 2026 goals? This is a big year for a lot of people, and there's going to be a lot of growth whether you want it or not. There's going to be expansion, and you're going to see a lot of people expanding and growing. But what would it look like for you to grow with your partner? What would it look like for you guys to start this year and really by the hand move forward and grow and expand individually, but together? And how would that shift your life? How you wake up and feel about yourself every day in your life? How would it shift your business? Because it will. Let me tell you, it'll amplify it. How would it shift your children? And the demonstration that you are showing them of what love can be, which in my opinion is one of the greatest gifts we can give to our children.
Yes.
And for those of you that are feeling this call, that are feeling something internally saying, yes, like I really desire this, here's what I want to say to you. You're worthy of it. It's possible for you. We're going to link the details in the show notes. The doors are open. We do have limited spots available because of the energetic investment into this container. We want to make sure that all four of us are able to fully hold it and fully walk you guys hand in hand through the journey to where you are standing at the end of this 4 months, looking back and thinking, why didn't we do this sooner? So we're going to link this now. Click on it. You'll find out all the good details, and we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. But we want to thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in for this episode. We love you. We see you guys, and it would be our honor to work with you this year and to teach you all of the things that have allowed us to create the extraordinary relationships that we have.
Thank you.
If this episode gave you clarity, peace, or a perspective shift, hold on to that. And here is how you lock it in. Subscribe so that you keep building momentum week after week. And if you're the kind of person that believes a good message should travel, please leave a review. Reviews aren't just ratings. They're signals that help this reach the people who are ready for it. And then share this episode with somebody you love, someone you lead, or somebody that you were rooting for. Links are in the show notes so that you can connect with me online and on Instagram. Now go out there and take one beautiful, bold, and aligned step and make it count. I'm going to catch you on the next episode of the Empowered Life Podcast.